Well, it's Thursday, and you all know what that means. As you probably know, Ring of Honor, we just entered a fallout after, of course, Final Battle. So, as you probably can guess, we have a brand new Ring of Honor Women's Pure Champion, Deonna Purrazzo. But the real question is, what's next for her? We will just have to wait and see. And of course, a lot of things will be taking place. We do have a bit of a preview match, as you know, that will lead toward the men's Pure title. So that's going to be very interesting as well. And of course, TNA, as you all know, they also entered the fallout in two different fronts. The first one, of course, was Final Resolution with the loss of the TNA International Championship, and NXT, of course, invading, causing more problems. But the real question is, where do we go from here? And of course, as you know, many of you know that Leon Slater participated in the deadline for of course, for a chance of the NXT Championship. Well, we'll see what happens with them as well. And of course, we'll end our episode as usual with some news updates to give you guys updates on any. Sorry about that. We'll give you guys updates on what's been happening in the world of wrestling, such as what events the promotions are throwing out, who's booked, what matches are set, including developments that are happening in the world of wrestling as we speak. So, let's get ready for another episode of the Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Hey everybody, welcome to the Deleted Wrestle Zone, all things that is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, TNA, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, J-Rod here. So, if you are new to the channel, welcome. This is a channel we do a lot of pro wrestling reviews from various promotions, not only here in the United States, but also in Japan, Mexico, Canada, Europe, the UK. Anywhere where pro wrestling is not as big, but it continues to grow. We also, of course, do discussion videos, talk about various topics such as the wrestlers themselves, the promotions, factions, storylines, whatever we want to talk about. We also, of course, do more news updates. If certain information is unable to be on this episode, we can either put it on the next one or on a separate video by itself. We also, of course, do real-time news updates to keep you guys on alert if something has happened in the world of wrestling that needs to be addressed ASAP. We also, of course, got the Unagi Sayaka Watch and various other cool wrestling content as well. So if you like what you see, please subscribe to us or click on that subscribe button. You'll be getting a lot of daily reviews and other cool wrestling content as well. But if you like this episode, please give us a like on the like button or nice comments in the description down below. Now, enough of the jibber jabbers, let's get to it. So, let's begin with Ring of Honor. Okay, Ring of Honor. Now, as you all know, we're in the aftermath after Final Battle. Now, as you probably saw in the opening of the entire event, Athena, as you probably know already, is the longest reigning Ring of Honor Women's World Champion, and she's proud of it. She felt that she has elevated the women's division in ROH, but the one thing she's not happy about, let's just say one particular person screwed things up. If you guys know who I'm talking about, well, yes. Billie Starkz failed to capture the women's pure title and lost to Deonna Purrazzo. But she did state that she put her and Diamante in a tag match. So basically it's her way to make up for what just transpired in Final Battle. We'll just see what happens. Now, our opening match is Spanish Announce Project Serpentico and Angelico taking on LSG and Josh Crane. Now, obviously, just for me to mention these names, we all had a distinct feeling that Spanish Announce Project were going to win, and that's exactly what happened. They applied a double submission on both, of course, LSG and Crane, and just like that, adios, it's over. Now, we did see, of course, our next match, the Frat House, consistent of Preston Vance, Griff Garrison, and Cole Carter taking on, of course, Join the Dark Order. Yep, them, Johnny Hungy, Alex Reynolds, and Evil Uno. Now, of course, if you guys been paying attention with the Frat House, well, we know that those idiots, the Pledge, decided to interfere, and they're not the only ones. So is Bernard the Bear, who we haven't seen for quite some time. So yeah, those idiots decided to get involved, but it didn't stop the Dark Order one way or the other. But, however, it was, of course, the pendulum bomb onto Carter by Johnny Hungy that finished off, of course, Cole Carter. And just like that, 1, 2, 3, the Dark Order picked up their next win. And, of course, the commentators mentioned that they could be most likely aiming for the ROH 6-man tag team titles. We'll just pay attention to that. Now, our next match, Zeta Steel versus Rachel Ellery. Now, I did mention there was tapings involving this before. So the real question is how it's going to be. Well, I have to say it did a pretty good job. But it was Zeta Steel who walked away with the win with the DDT. So more than likely, we probably will see her more in ROH because we haven't seen her in AEW just yet. So we'll see where that leads us from there. Now, in the back, of course, we did see Swirl do a video promo. Lee Johnson talking about, of course, his recent match. But however, the person who's most likely pissed is Blake Christian because he felt in his godforsaken mind that he had this match won. He felt that it should have been him walking away with the ROH World title because he feels that he's the one who's carrying the company in his back. But he feels that it's not over yet. So he most likely will try to find a way to weasel his way in back into the contingency on that. So we'll see where that leads us. Now, our next match, we have Jay Lethal versus Nathan Cruz. Now, of course, obviously this match was going to fall in favor with Jay Lethal, and that's exactly what happened. He applied the lethal injection, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, over. Our next match, we have Billy Starks and Diamante taking on Deonna Purrazzo and a partner of her choosing, and that partner is someone we all know all too well from both AEW, Ring of Honor, and of course, TNA. And if you guys don't know who I'm referring to, Madison Rayne. So, yep, Madison Rayne joins her in the ring. Now, obviously, we know for sure that most likely they would try to aim for the pure title in hopes to get an opportunity in bringing it into, of course, into the minion camp with Athena. But unfortunately, once again, let's just say that Billy Starks screwed things up once more when she ended up on the Fujiwara armbar by Billy Starks. And of course, Athena is displeased. Now, it wouldn't be the first time that something like this happens, but who knows? We'll see what happens until then. Now, we did see an interview with Red Velvet. Now, of course, as you know, she reclaimed the ROH Women's World Television title. But the real question is, who will be next? Well, she said that she is ready for anybody who steps up to her. And I do believe she is involved in a proving ground match a little later, but we'll get to that. Our next match, we have a bit of the technical aspect. Josh Woods versus Eiji Seto. And I think this was a pretty good match because we've seen Josh Woods, a former ROH Pure champion, and of course Eiji Seto, who I think could definitely win that belt. But how will this one play out? Well, Eiji Seto walked away with the win with a submission, and just like that, it was over. Woods gave up. Our next match, we have the Outrunners teaming up with not only Dalton Castle, but Adam Priest and Tommy Billington. But however, they were attacked from behind with the Premier Losers, of course, and MXM Television right before they head out to the ring. So of course they were trying to find ways to ensure they get involved in this match. But however, of course, well, let's say Smart Mark Sterling was an idiot, and of course, story did not lead, and Taya Valkyrie got caught with the cookie jar. Their hand in the cookie jar, and they were exited, so adios. Just like that. But however, the combination of both the lariat and German by both Adam Priest and Tommy Billington sealed the deal when, of course, it was Adam Priest that picked up the win when he applied that onto Tony Nese. And just like that, 1, 2, 3 is good. And everybody celebrated, of course. The Outrunners, Castle, Priest, and Billington. And, of course, they did the, "You son of a bitch." Yep, that. I thought it was really fun. So, it was pretty good. Now, our next match is a proving ground match for the ROH Women's World Television title. We have Lacey Lane, many of you guys know as Cadence Carter, back in WWE at the time, faces Red Velvet. Now, keep in mind, this is not for the title, but if she survives for 10 minutes or pins Red Velvet, most likely will get a title shot. But Lacey Lane was unsuccessful because it was Red Velvet with Straight Up Your Mama's Kitchen that sealed the deal, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, over. Next match, we have Aaron Solo and Willie Mack taking on the Death Riders, Wheeler Yuta and Daniel Garcia. So basically, we've been seeing how now the Death Riders are making a play for Ring of Honor in hopes they could win some wins and control it. But, however, we did see that it was Danny Garcia with, of course, the Scorpion Deathlock onto Aaron Solo, and just like that, Solo had no choice but to tap out. Now, our main event, we have a bit of a preview here. We have Shane Taylor Promotions, Lee Moriarty, Carly Bravo, Sean Dean, and of course, Shane Taylor taking on the combined forces of Commander and Skyflight Team, Dante and Darius Martin, and Scorpio Sky. Now, keep in mind, folks, we recently did see Shane Taylor Promotion, mostly Bravo, Dean, and Taylor, defend the ROH World Six-Man Tag Team titles against Skyflight. But however, now Lee Moriarty is put in a position where it's a preview match where he'll be facing, of course, Commander for the pure title. But the real question is, can Commander do it? We have seen how Shane Taylor Promotion has been proving that they are the dominant force. But luckily, we did see some great cohesion from both Commander and Skyflight. But it was Commander with the springboard running shooting star press onto Lee Moriarty, I believe. No, onto Sean Dean. My bad, my notes are messed up. Onto Sean Dean, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it's over. But momentum goes straight up to Commander. But the real question is, should Lee Moriarty be a little bit worried? If I were him, I would be so, because you don't know what momentum he'll bring in until the title match. So we'll stay tuned for that. But as of right now, let's move forward with our last review, and that is, of course, TNA. Alright, TNA. So as you know, they also entered in their fallout after Final Resolution, with many things taking place, not to mention, of course, with the loss of the TNA International titles in the hands of stacks of NXT. Now, we did open up with Frankie Kazarian doing out a promo, as you know, probably gloating with the fact that he retained the title. But however, he has to deal with the former champion, the person he beat for the title, and that is, of course, Mike Santana. So Mike Santana currently, as you know, has announced his rematch contingency. So basically, that's what he's going to do. So he cashed it in. Now, we did see a bit of a video promo from NXT. As you know, NXT are proud for what they did, taking one of the titles, but they're calling TNA a cancer that needs to be eradicated. So it seems now that they're determined to destroy TNA one way or the other to prove that they are the dominant force. But of course, TNA will not back down from anything. Now, our first match, we have Lexis King taking on Matt Cardona. Of course, Matt Cardona, everybody knows his history with WWE in the past. But Lexis King might consider him as a traitor or some ways. But of course, we've been seeing a lot of dirty tactics coming from the NXT brand. We did see Stacks involved, and not to mention the the cane also being involved, until of course they were able to dismantle the arm of Matt Cardona, but he was unable to kick out the pinfall by Lexis King. And then of course they, as soon as the match was over, thanks to Lexis King with his win, of course Stacks and King decided to dismantle Matt Cardona. But thank God for Steve Maclin for showing up, because as you probably can guess, he definitely would want the TNA International title back where it rightfully belongs. Now, we did see the Angel Warriors. We're talking about Xia Brookside and the current TNA Knockouts World Champion, Xia Brookside, talking about, of course, what a great match they put themselves in at Final Resolution, saying that they put themselves to the test despite of their friendship. But of course, it seems that someone wants to aim for this belt. Tessa Blanchard, Victoria Crawford, and Milo Moore, along with that dumbass Mr. Stone, decided to make a play for that title. But the real question is, can they pull it off? We will just have to wait and see, because we know Stone, he's determined to destroy TNA. Because I wouldn't be surprised if TNA calls Tessa, Victoria Crawford, and Milo Moore as traitors to TNA, because we are seeing the same thing in NXT like they're doing with, of course, with Kalani Jordan. But we'll see what happens until then. Now, our next match, we have Mala Grace and Harley Hudson, who we rarely see sometimes. They take on the Elegance brand. We're talking about Em and Heather. Now, of course, things were going perfectly well for them until that little chihuahua decided to get involved. But luckily, of course, Harley decided to whack him with one of the Christmas presents on his head. But because of that, she pinned, of course, Em, but Heather overturned it. And, of course, M picked up the win. So, just like that, we know that they're working their way to get back into the TNA Knockouts World Tag Team title consistency. So, we'll see where that goes for them. Now, we did see an interview with Gia Miller talking about Rich Swann. Now, as you all saw what happened Final Resolution, Rich Swann turned his back on AJ Francis. But he gave his specific reasons why. He feels in some capacity that AJ Francis has been putting himself above everyone else, basically thinking it's about him, not teamwork, that sort of thing. So he basically had enough. But of course, AJ Francis hasn't forgotten, so one way or the other, Rich Swann may have to confront him, but fortunately, AJ Francis decided to deal with them personally. You know, the old saying goes, if you want something done right, you do it yourself. Now, we did see a bit of a sort of an opportunity for the X Division title that could happen at Genesis. We have a scramble match involved. BDE versus Desmond Xavier. Many of you know him as Wes Lee, and if you're a WWE fan base. Cedric Alexander, Ryan Meneth, Jake Something, and Jason Hodge. Now, Mustafa Ali also made his way to the ring in hopes that Jason Hodge will have that successful run. And of course, he's probably pissed knowing too well what happened to him with, of course, with Elijah. But a lot of things took place in the entirety of the match. I mean, who doesn't love the X Division? That's basically no limits. But in the end, it was Alexander who picked up the win by pinning BDE. And just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was over. Now, we did see the System making their way in the ring, of course, talking about, of course, JDC, and hopefully they find a good replacement for him once he's gone and starting in Genesis. Now, we did see, of course, Mike Santana talking to, I forgot who he was talking to. No, Santino was talking to Ariana, as you know, about everything that's been happening, most specifically with Frankie Kazarian, you know, about Obnoxious, but not to mention NXT, as you know, because apparently right now Santino is not happy with the fact what's been going on, because of course this was supposed to be a sportsman-like thing they were supposed to have together, but somehow it became a full-blown war. So we'll see what happens until then. Now, our next match, we have Sinner and Saint, consistent of Judas Icarus and Travis Williams, taking on the System, Brian Myers and Eddie Edwards. And now, of course, Myers and Eddie Edwards have been very good as their tag team for many years. They basically have built it up. And of course, Sinner and Saint, if you guys haven't seen their cohesion in the independents, go check them out. but it was Eddie Edwards that picked up the win when he applied the Boston Knee Party onto Travis Williams. And just like that, 1, 2, 3, it's over. And then we did see a bit of respect for the system and Sinner and Saint. So, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they recruit those guys and have them join. I mean, it would be awesome to see something different with them. So we'll see. Now the Hardys, as you know, they make their presence known into the fan base. As you know, they retain the TNA titles against, of course, the members of the NXT brand, Rick Igwe and Tyson Dupont. But not to mention, since this show took place in El Paso, they put a shout out to the late Eddie Guerrero. And then, of course, as you know, now they're putting themselves in a position to protect TNA from people from NXT, so we all know. However, we did see, of course, the arrival of the Righteousness. Now, of course, the Righteous, as you know, they've made a play recently. Most likely, it doesn't take a genius what they want. So most likely, they want the TNA World Tag Team titles. So we'll see where that leads us. Now, Santino Marella had to give the sad news. Because he announced a steel cage match between NXT and TNA, Matt Cardona was supposed to be involved. But Santino Marella decided to step up the game, knowing too well he has to lead his troops to battle. And it shows that he is determined to make TNA a brand what it is now. But I wouldn't be surprised if that weasel, Mr. Stone, decides to get involved. So we'll see what happens. But Ariana Grace doesn't seem like she's okay with the idea because, A, he'll be across her fiance, and we all know who that is, Stax. Now, our next match is a dog collar match between Dani Luna and Indy Hartwell. As you know, these two ladies started out as friends until Dani Luna had enough about being held back by people like Indy Hartwell, Jody Threat, and a few others. But this match went all full blown. But you did see Dani Luna being all bloody, basically all over her face. But, however, the referee was knocked down, but it took only a split second for, of course, Dani Luna to pick up the win, knocking out Indy Hartwell when she did the lunar clips, and just like the lunar landing, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it's over. So the real question is, could she be the next person to challenge for the TNA Knockouts World Title? Will we just have to wait and see when we get there? But as of right now, we are done with the reviews. Let's move on with our last and final thing, news updates. Alright, so welcome to our news update. So let's begin with the upcoming events, starting with GCW. As you know, GCW will be doing their New Year's Eve show, Do or Die, on the 31st of December. They announced, of course, a Bergen County street fight between Joey Janela and KJ Orso. Many of you know him as, of course, Fuego del Sol. Then, of course, we have a match announced for the Crime Wave event taking place on the 18th of January in 2026 in Wichita. We have Samurai del Sol versus Vengador. Many of you know Samurai del Sol as Kalisto. So basically, yes, that's who's going to be there. However, GCW did announce 2 more events taking place in February of 2026. The first one is on the 27th in Rochester, New York. Many of you know it as Brody Lee Country. And the other in Hartford, Connecticut on the 28th of February. So stay tuned for more. Now, they haven't announced the names of the events or who will be participating, but as we get closer, I'll let you guys know. Now, this coming Thursday, they announced for the ROH Global Wars in the United Kingdom, which, of course, AEW will be making their way in Manchester. So this will happen between in Wales and, of course, in Edinburgh or something like that. I'm not sure, but yes. So stay tuned for that. House of Glory will have a big event on the 19th of December at Winter Warfare. Matt Cardona will take on Ken Broadway, so that's going to be a very interesting match. Now it's official in Stardom, as you know, on December 24th, which of course is my birthday. They return to Korakuen Hall for year end, and it's now been made official. The high speed title will be defended. This will be Yuna Mizumori's 3rd attempt on this title. Now, she has been aiming for this belt for quite some time, for almost half a year, and now she's determined to do so. So hopefully third time is the charm. I hope she does walk away and end her year winning this belt, because we do know her own teammates, more specifically Sayori Anu, will be facing, of course, Saya Kamitani for the red belt. And as for, of course, our current New Blood Tag Team Champions and the winners of Tag League, Sayaka Kawara and Aya Sakura, will face for the Goddesses Tag Team belt. So we'll see how things will go. Now, DEFY Wrestling has announced for their upcoming LA event on the 28th of December, Enders, they announced Stephen Borden Jr., many of you may know him as the son of Sting, will be in action to take on a guy named Carrion Gray. I don't know who that is, but yes, so he has been announced. Jersey Championship Wrestling. As you know, two names have been mentioned, but they're not part of the Jersey Cup, but they are participating in the match as well. Remember I mentioned the Tiger Mask will be participating. Well, it turns out that he will. He'll be facing against Tommy Billington, and this is only going to be on night 1 on February 6th of 2026. And then finally, it was announced by the Filipino promotion Dexcon for their Fast Break event taking place on the 13th of February. Lady Lee, many of you know her as Gentala, will be making her appearance. So yes, she's now been taking bookings for the independents. Now on to some developments here. Now many of you may remember I mentioned that it was announced that Moka Miyamoto will be, of course, retiring from pro wrestling. Now the real reason what was happening, which was not foretold why, many of you may or may not have been aware of, this past July she was injured and she was sidelined. Now it seems that her health has not improved whatsoever, which is sad. Now we have seen wrestlers, they had to make the decision to retire because of this. We've seen that, of course, with what's her name? I forgot her name a while back, but yes, so she had to do so. And of course Arisa Hoshiki and a few others. And it's sad. But of course, it was also mentioned that there will be no ceremony taking place. So basically, we're never going to see Moka Miyamoto take her ceremony, which of course many fans would have loved to see. But no, we even had the same thing with, of course, what's her name? With Hikari Noah. Well, she didn't get no ceremony either. Now she hasn't retired yet, but we do know that's what it is. But of course, Miyu Yamashita actually had some things to say about, of course, Moka Miyamoto. This is what she said. I support the decision that Moka thought about a lot and made. I really loved her straightforwardness, her hardworking nature, and the strong gaze she shows in the ring. Meeting Moka in Tokyo Pro and getting her was truly wonderful. Thank you for your hard work. Thank you. Yeah, so it's very nice that she has to say that. I mean, I know it's sad for her that she had to, retire this early, but of course, what can you do? You can't do nothing at the moment. Now, moving on. As you all know, in Stardom at Dream Queendom, Fuwa-chan has announced the opponent in her, of course, re-debut in Stardom, and she picked Hazuki. Now, in the press conference, she had this to say about that particular match, and this is what she said. I truly think Fuwa-chan is awkward, just like me, and often misunderstood by people around her, but I have been right beside her and seen her incredible kind side, the part of her that struggles and worry, and parts feel like deep frustration. I've seen all those different sides of her. That's why I'm so happy that she chose professional wrestling and that she said she wanted her re-debut match to be against me. Yes, that's how I feel, and I decided not to cry, but I cried anyway. Yeah, I think she sees herself in her. I mean, who wouldn't be awkward in the ring? If she sees herself in that, that's good. It gives her that moment about, all of this. Now, moving on. No Contest Wrestling had an interview with Joe Hendry about explaining why he decided to sign with WWE and be part of NXT, and this is what he said. Right now, I'm obsessed in getting better at wrestling and trying to be an absolute best professional wrestler that I can be. That's it. For me, the primary reason I chose to come to NXT was to evolve as a wrestler because I really feel I can take this all the way. And the Performance Center has the tools for me to do. I'm obsessed in getting better, so I'm actually finding super hard to switch off from the wrestling business and relax. So yes, I have to say it's really interesting because it's true. If you want to get better in wrestling, what better way to go to NXT? You can't just have him jump to the main roster. I mean, sure, he'll be main roster material, but you don't want to make a fool of yourself on that, and it's totally understandable. Now, PW Insider has recently talked about, of course, that Sting's son, Stephen Borden Jr., made his debut at Atlanta on AEW. And this is what they said. Borden wore a black tights and a baby face who got nice reaction once his name came up in AEW Titantron during his entrance. And his selling and the punch-ins is the comeback look good that the crowd is behind them, chanting Steve during the match. So it seems that the AEW fan base are behind Stephen Borden Jr. Of course, it's not that easy. You got to remember, guys, being a second generation wrestler is not an easy task. I mean, you've seen wrestlers like Cody Rhodes, many others who grew up watching their dads and they stepped up to the ring, but they have to try something. Now, I don't know exactly what Stephen Borden Jr. is going to do if he does make it all the way. Let's say he signs with AEW. I wouldn't be surprised that he'll try something different, but I'm glad that the fans are accepting him. But I just hope things don't go worse by any means necessary. Now, Ortiz just made his return to the ring in a dark match. It was the first time since almost 325 days between suffering an injury and waiting for an opportunity to wrestle again after getting cleared. Of course, it most likely could happen that the Hook and Eddie storyline, Ortiz is drastically underrated. I mean, yeah, we could see Ortiz and Eddie Kingston teaming up. I mean, that's something that most likely we could most see, where he helps out, Eddie Kingston to deal with Hook and all that. So we'll see where that leads us there. So I'm looking forward to that. But we'll see. So as of right now, I think we're done. So let's call it a day. Well, I hope everybody enjoys this episode. Coming up, as you know, we are not done with New Japan Pro Wrestling. We are going to find out who will be joining in the finals of World Tag League. As you know, there's a bit of a showdown taking place, of course. We have Gabe Kidd and Yota Tsuji taking on the Knockout Brothers, our current IWGP World Tag Team Champions. So stay tuned for that. Now, I haven't decided yet if there's any other events I might do, but we'll see what happens. Until then, I will see you guys in the next DWZ time, same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So, goodbye, and have a nice day. Bang.